suppression, the use of marijuana.
Ollie was barking.
Aww.
And the note said, "Your dog has been barking for hours. Please shut it up. Some of us are trying to sleep. Thank you, heart."
Oh.
And it was like cheerleader handwriting.
Gross.
Ew.
And so, like, Ollie stays home when I'm at work. And I've always lived in like a house or a duplex,
Yeah.
and no one's ever complained about him before
Right.
Sure.
doing that. And I think it's because the windows in the apartment go all the way to the floor, and he can see all of the people coming and going all day
Yeah.
long.
Yeah.
And so I think he sees all these people and he doesn't know any of them, and so he's freaking out because it's all brand new to him.
Yeah.
Strangers.
Can
Strangers,
you, like,
exactly.
Can you like put curtains?
So there's floor to ceiling blinds.
Okay.
Oh, but blinds are awful.
Yeah, but he can put his head through them and
Yeah.
move them.
Right.
So I think what I'm gonna do is get like a window film
Mm-hmm.
that's like tinted or what's
Texture?
that?
Dark and some
The cloudy.
Yeah.
I can't
That
think
word.
of the
Yeah.
privacy sort of whatever.
Yeah.
There's a word for it.
the clouded
etched.
ones. Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
like etched glass, so that he can't see through it, but he can still get like the light and stuff.
Yeah.
Because when the blinds are shut, it's so dark.
Yeah.
Um,
That'd be a good halfway point.
Don't need
Yeah.
your dog to be depressed.
I know, and yeah, so I think he's just like anxious and
Good.
yeah,
Excellent boy.
he is a good boy, and I felt really bad. But then I was like, I felt bad for him because, like, he was inside for a pretty long time.
Yeah.
But, like, he's used to that because he's inside when I'm at work.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't think it would be a problem. And it was a problem.
Oh, poor
So-
baby.
Yeah. I got to figure that out.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's my new challenge of living in an apartment for the first time after living in a house for
A long time.
ever. Yeah.
Yeah.
I realize that might be something I will have to transition to
Yeah.
because I live in like a duplexy thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to live above or below people anymore.
Yeah.
Next to is already hard enough. Oh, I'm Tia.
I'm Jamie.
I'm Ryan.
Twinsies.
And we're the ADHD
We're the ADHD
queens.
queens.
Queens. Yay.
Hello and welcome. Today, it's me. Right?
Yeah,
You're the host. You're the host.
Okay. I am hosting, and we are going to be discussing a man called Uva.
Which we all definitely mispronounced
Yeah.
last time
time.
because every person that I've ever spoken to about this book mispronounced it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, oops.
Sorry.
Well, I mispronounced it in a different way forever before
What?
we talk. I always just said Ove
Oh,
because that's
weird.
how it's spelled.
How
Like
did we say it last time?
I said
Ova.
Ove.
Ove.
Yeah.
We're all wrong.
It's
It's
Uva.
Uva. It's Uva.
It's a man called Uva.
Or if you're Hollywood, Otto for some reason.
Well,
Because it takes place in Philadelphia.
yeah,
Yeah.
we Americanize it and
I think the original movie is in Swedish.
Good.
okay, good. I was gonna say
or at least
Saab.
something
at least
right.
not English.
Yeah, Saab is such an important part of this story. How could
Yeah.
you possibly set it anywhere except freaking Sweden?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did watch the movie, and the movie was good though.
Did
Oh,
you
is
it?
the
Yeah.
Otto one or
Yeah.
the other one? Okay,
The Otto one.
I
Tom
mean,
Hanks.
Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
yeah.
He's great for this role.
Tom Hanks and the narrator of the audiobook sound so similar
Oh.
Oh,
that
that's fun.
like the whole time I was listening to it, I knew Tom Hanks played him in the American movie, and so I was just like, yeah, this is Tom Hanks.
yeah.
That checks out. It was very good casting. for an Americanized version.
E.
Yeah. Anyway, so this is so sad,
But
such a sad but uplifting and also
good
cute
and also everything.
It was everything.
It
yeah.
had the best ending.
The thing
It was
is
so good.
I knew, like, I didn't know anything about this book, but within like a chapter, I knew how this book was going to end.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
it
yeah.
still was perfect. It was
Yeah.
exactly how it was supposed to end.
Yeah.
Yes.
Same. I was like, wait, they're foreshadowing stuff, and I was like, damn it.
Like, I can
so
see.
when is this gonna happen?
Yeah. And it was still so interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, quick plot summary. The story centers around a man called Uwe, if you could not
Said the
guess.
thing.
And he is a 59-year-old man.
He's only 59.
Yeah.
Dude, okay.
Yep.
They had him painted as this old ass.
I know, but he's so grumpy.
Yeah.
So it just like, you can just see him being older too. But
Yeah.
it does say, I think it says like in one of the last chapters,
It says
like,
it a couple of times
Does
it?
where
Yeah.
it's like 59-year-old. He's a 59-year-old. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, he's 59. Okay, I got
Jesus.
Yeah.
it. Not yet 60. I got it.
Yeah, so it's this old, well, not old. He's a 59-year-old man in Sweden who is experiencing grief in a big way. His wife of 30 years or something,
Almost 40.
almost 40, yeah,
They were in their early 20s, I think, when
Yeah.
they got married.
yeah, and he worked at his job for 33
years.
years. So yeah, Anyway, almost 40 years they were married. We get like flashbacks throughout the book of their life together and how they kind of just couldn't catch a break.
Yeah.
But his wife was always so optimistic and just full of life, even when everything terrible was happening to them. And she was just so good.
Yeah.
She was so loving, and so she just loved life in general, that all of these terrible things that happened to her didn't bring her down.
Yeah.
And they did kind of bring Uwe down.
Yeah.
Hard.
And
he became old at like 11.
yes.
Yeah, he was like a baby and he was like, get off my lawn.
Yes. And before the book begins, his wife dies. And
6 months before, I think.
Yeah, I think so. And without her positive spirit and attitude towards everything, Uwe has just become even more grumpy and sad. And he says that he sees the world in black and white, and the only part of it that was color was his wife, Sonia.
Saabing.
Yeah. And now the color is gone again. And so Uwe wants to die. And he tries to make that happen several times.
Way more times than I
Keeps trying.
expected.
I
Keeps trying.
truly, after the second time, I was like, okay, now Parvana and him are going to be friends and he's not going to try anymore. And then
Oh,
he,
no.
he kept
He just keeps trying.
trying. In the beginning of the book, a family moves in next door. It opens with them backing a trailer into Uwe's mailbox. And Uwe runs outside and yells at them, is like, what are you doing? You're all idiots. What's happening? Eventually, he just pulls the man out of the car, gets into the car, and backs up the trailer for them, and then goes back inside.
He's just like, you can't drive this.
You're so stupid. You're an
young
idiot.
people can't do
young people
anything.
can't drive. This is an automatic. This is terrible.
You can't drive an automatic.
And
It's not a real car.
And they have names.
Yes.
But they also have names that he calls them.
Yes. I don't. So the lanky one
The lanky one and the pregnant
and the
one.
pregnant one. And their real names are Parvana
and
and
Patrick.
Patrick.
Mm-hmm.
Parvana and Patrick bring over some food, or actually,
No,
it's their
their
children.
daughters.
Children.
Their kids. So they have Parvana and Patrick have a 3-year-old and a 7-year-old, and
great.
they bring over food for Uwe. He just kind of takes the food and he doesn't really trust it, but then
Because
he
it's
Seasons
it's
the rice.
rice.
Because
It's
yeah.
rice made by Parvana, and
Yeah.
she is from
Iran.
a country, Iran.
Yeah.
So she makes this like Iranian rice, and he's like, I don't know about this.
It should be
it's rice with saffron.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And he's
And
like,
this is foreign food. Weird. I don't trust it. But he also is not one to let anything go to waste. So he eats it and he loves it.
and he thinks it's great.
But he's not going to say that.
No.
No, why would he say that?
So anyway, Parvana and Patrick and their 2 children start showing up in Uva's life frequently.
Yes.
One day they need to borrow an Allen wrench.
Oh,
to
he
put
calls it
together
an Eileen wrench. Patrick doesn't know what an Allen wrench is, so he's like, an Eileen wrench. Parvana and Uva like always react the same way to Patrick. So
Yes.
I think at one point in the first interaction, they both at the same time go, Jesus Christ.
Yes. A few days later, they need to borrow a ladder so that he can open a window. And then he falls off the ladder and breaks an arm and a leg.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He breaks
messed
everything.
up.
Yeah. And so Parvana comes running over to Uva's garage during one of Uva's many attempts and says, "You need to drive us to the hospital right now." Uva's like, "Why?"
Why should I do it? Because your husband fell off.
Your husband fell off a ladder and an ambulance took him. Why do I have to drive you? And she's like, because I don't have a driver's license. And he's like, how old are you? She's pregnant and has 2 children. She should have a driver's license, right? Well, she's 30, and she does not have a driver's license. And Uva thinks that is ridiculous.
Yes.
But he does drive them.
Well, and sort of the tipping point for him, which is foreshadowing, is she says, well, I can just take the bus. And he, like, anytime someone mentions a bus, he is just like, nope, you are not taking a bus. Fine, I'll drive you.
Yes.
He's a grumbly man, but...
Yes, because the buses are not to be trusted.
Because
For reasons.
they're always alcoholics that are driving them. That
Yes.
is exactly what they say.
Yes.
Oh, but we also meet Uva's ex-friend's wife,
Yes.
Anita. And that's also how Parvana gets... They all just end up talking in front of Uva's house, and Uva's like, why are you here?
Yeah.
Go
And there's
away.
one time where they're talking on the porch, and Uva just shuts the door and goes and just goes inside, just leaves them talking on his front porch.
And that just continues to keep happening.
Yeah.
And more people start to
Yeah,
keep
by the end, it's just like
participating.
everyone in the
whole
neighborhood is
neighborhood.
just like in his house, and he's like, what?
Yeah, so Anita and her husband have lived on the block of row houses for as long as Uva has. And Anita and Uva's wife Sonia were best friends, and Uva and
Rune.
Runa.
Yeah.
Runa is
it
how the
Runa?
audiobook pronounced it.
Did it?
Yeah.
Mine didn't.
Oh.
Mine pronounced it Rune.
I was pretty sure it was Rune. Whatever.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
Runa makes sense because if we say Uva.
yeah.
I don't know how it
Runa.
was spelled.
That's fair.
So I will go with what you
Yeah,
say.
it's R-U-N-E.
Oh,
Yeah, we'll
so
say
like
Runa.
Rune.
That's
Okay,
fine.
so Runa.
Were tumultuous friends.
Yes.
They
They essentially
tolerated each other.
besties, though.
Yeah. For these old grumpy men, they were besties.
As besties as you can possibly
Yeah.
be.
Uva hated that Runa drove.
He had a
Volvo.
He had a Volvo,
And
which
then-
is how
yeah.
dare you.
Yes, and was tolerable.
Was
Right, because he was
tolerable.
consistent.
Yes.
And then when he became inconsistent and bought a BMW,
Yes.
He
they
cut
had
off
a
that.
huge falling out. Runa orchestrated a coup d'etat on the homeowners association.
Yeah.
they
Eh,
were spiteful little men.
Yes.
Yeah.
And kind of ousted Uva from the position of the head of the resident-
chairman, I
Yeah,
think, yeah.
the chairman. And so they had been on bad terms, and then Runa fell ill has Alzheimer's, right? But he doesn't know. Uva doesn't know the extent of.
Because he's been living in this like
yes.
depressive state where he just hasn't
Yes.
interacted with anyone for like 2
2
years.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah. hasn't interacted with them specifically for 2 years.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and Anita wouldn't tell
Sonia.
the extent
Of how bad it
Yes.
to
was.
which Runa's illness was.
Yes. And so Uwe doesn't really know what's going on. And he does find out later on that it's much more advanced than he had thought.
Mhm.
And there was not as much time to sort things out
Yeah.
as he had thought. Because he was not planning on being here. So he didn't think that he needed to figure things out.
Literally.
Well,
anything.
he wasn't planning on being here, and his problems with Sonia, him trying to work things out with like the city
the
and
white
Sonia
Yes.
shirt
took
people.
so long, and so he just keeps thinking like, this isn't a problem. Like
Yeah.
you're at the beginning of this struggle, but it turns out that we're not, and we are
Yes.
so far along this struggle.
Yes. And so we'll get to that flashback in a moment.
Yes.
I think we get the cat first, right?
Yes.
I love the
Okay.
kitty.
So,
And then we meet Jimmy with the kitty.
yes. So one day it's snowing and Parvana is outside and sees this cat that has been around. You see it a few times throughout the first little bit of the book. There's a neighbor whose dog wants to kill it, and she sucks.
Demon
Yeah.
child.
Blonde Weed
Blonde
is her
weed,
name.
yes.
So she is
Yep.
exactly that.
And so this cat is like frozen in the snow, and Parvana is like, "We have to save this cat."
This also interrupts another one of the suicide
Yes.
attempts.
Yes. So great. I
Sure
love it.
Does. And so Uva's like, "Fine."
He doesn't even
guess.
say fine.
Yeah, no,
he
they just
they
enter
just,
his
they just
house.
enter his
He,
house.
he just doesn't actively stop them.
yes, he doesn't
Yes.
say no.
Which is basically like saying fine in Uva's world.
Yes. So Parvana just like barges in with Jimmy and this cat, and
Jimmy is also a neighbor.
Jimmy
yes,
is a neighbor.
and they revive it from its frigid, frozen state.
With Jimmy's
Body heat.
body heat, and he's
Allergic.
deathly allergic to this.
Yeah.
And so
Oh,
he's
that's
breaking
right.
out all in the movie. The rash that he has is bad.
Oh,
It's
no.
so bad.
So that's how they end up back in the hospital. So
Oh, yeah,
everyone's in the hospital.
We've already been at the hospital once in order to drop Patrick off at the hospital. Now we
Yes.
go to drop Jimmy off at the hospital. Eventually, we will go to pick both of them up from the hospital.
All
and,
at once.
And Uva is like, why am I at the hospital again?
He's like, why are there so many people in my car?
And a cat
and
too.
a cat.
And the damn cat.
Yeah. So the cat, Uva is like, this cat it will not stay in this house. And Parvana is like, oh, sorry, the girls are allergic. Bye.
And then Jimmy's like, actually,
I need to go to the hospital. Thanks. Bye. And so Uva ends up with the cat. And he feeds it tuna twice a day, and it doesn't like to shit in other people's homes, so he lets it outside to do its business.
That's a very Uva-like cat.
Yes, it is. It's perfect.
It goes everywhere with
It goes
him.
everywhere with him.
I was shocked by how many places
It's
this
so
cat was
too.
still at.
Yeah, because like it doesn't always tell you that the cat is there, and then the cat does something.
And you're like,
because
oh.
like the narration just like assumes we all know the cat's always around.
Yeah.
The cat
Yeah.
goes everywhere. Like Uva goes on like little walks every day where he like tries to
Inspects.
see if there's anybody parked somewhere that they're not supposed to be around his house.
Yeah.
And the cat goes with him for that. The cat
Yep.
just like, all right,
the
we're
cat
going on our
goes
morning
to
rounds.
a cafe with him.
Yep.
And when the owner of the cafe says that cats aren't allowed to be there, Uva says, if I fix
This thing.
This
If I fix
thing-
the there's one of the machines was broken.
he says, if I fix this machine, the cat stays.
It wasn't a question.
And it wasn't a question. It was just like, that's how it will be. And
That's still the same. That's the same scene where he goes and makes coffee
Yeah.
because no one knows how to make proper
Which
coffee.
also I loved this book. That scene made me crazy as a barista.
Yeah.
Because no coffee shop doesn't have black coffee.
Yeah.
None
Yeah.
of them.
I was
That
like-
was a very old man assumption of what might happen to him at a coffee shop, but has never happened in the history of time. And as someone who has worked in a lot of coffee shops and has had old men come and be like, can you just make me coffee? Nobody has coffee. And it's like, I drink black coffee every single morning. Yes, we have black coffee.
Not anymore.
Well, not anymore because I can't because I have bad blood pressure. But but I did for many years.
Yeah, I was like, how the hell do they not know how to use a regular percolator?
And
I
the
know.
answer is nobody doesn't.
Yeah,
the
I
answer
think-
is that they wanted to make Uwe go behind the counter and make his own.
Yeah, and it was funny.
It's funny.
It was very funny.
It is funny.
It was a funny scene because he just is like, the kid is like, oh, I don't know how to make that. And Uwe's like, it's that machine right there. And he's like, I don't know how to use that machine.
Yeah.
It was like, but apparently he can use an espresso machine and
Yeah.
probably like every other fancy coffee.
And
So
it's like-
Uwe just goes behind the counter and makes it himself.
This is the curse of knowing something about something and watching anything or reading anything that has anything to do with that one specific thing.
Like when they order coffee in like movies that they're making fun of ordering ridiculous coffees, I was like, that's not a real thing.
No,
You
that's
literally
not a real thing.
Cappuccino, non-fat.
Yeah,
no
exactly.
foam.
You can't.
It's
Yeah,
like that. It's
BS.
just, it's like, I can appreciate that this scene was funny and it also is going to drive me crazy.
Yes.
But it was very funny.
It was very funny.
Maybe they were like panning it on like the dad that owned the shop being foreign, but I was like, I feel like they still
No.
have a normal like.
Yeah.
I know like the pour over coffee is probably more like relative to
Yeah.
people around the world, but
Yeah.
you just put it in the machine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we
Anyway,
also meet, he has a name.
Mersad, that one,
Yeah.
Mersad, and Amel is his dad.
Amel is his dad.
Who's the other one though?
Adrian.
Adrian.
is the kid that ends up making them at the coffee shop. Meet at the coffee.
Yes. So Adrian was
A student of Sonia's.
Sonia's. Yes.
Who is also a mail carrier.
He's a mail carrier and
slash barista.
he's a barista. The economy is trash. You got to have 17 jobs.
And
slash
he's saving up to get a car.
teenager.
He's saving up to get a car.
And he wants to buy a
His-
French car.
Not girlfriend too.
Oh yes.
He's trying to fix
her bike.
her bike and
His
buy
girlfriend,
a car
his not yet girlfriend's bike.
But he refers to her as his
As-
girlfriend.
yeah.
as his girlfriend.
And
Poor girl has no idea.
he doesn't have a car and he doesn't have a way to get this bike to where he can fix it, and so he was trying to do things with it outside Uwe's row houses, and Uwe wasn't having it and was mad because the bike wasn't locked up in the bike shed.
Yep.
And bikes belong in the bike shed unless they're being ridden, and all this stuff. And so Uwe learns all of this information about Adrian and is like, where do you work? I will bring, well, he doesn't even say I'll bring the bike to you. He just, what cafe do you work at?
Mer.
Mer. And then he shows up.
And he says, you bring your own tools.
Yes.
That's it.
I
Yeah. He
don't-
says,
I don't
you bring the
have tools."
tools. Yeah. And whatever. So he takes the bike to the cafe. Is that when he's teaching Parvana to drive?
Isn't
Oh,
that after?
no, because she's with him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
So-
she parks the car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Parvana.
Mersad works at the cafe with Adrian, is Adrian's boss. He is gay. His dad doesn't know he's
No,
gay.
he's bent.
Oh, yes.
Oh, God, yes.
That whole thing was hilarious.
That was so funny.
Is like, you can't say that.
Yes. it
I
was
love that. I
very
will
funny.
say I am bent.
Cackle.
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
not straight, I'm bent.
I'm bent.
Oh, but he doesn't say it out of malice. He just says
Yes.
it as like, no, this
He
is
doesn't-
a
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
term for
and then
this.
he says, like,
Well,
he
what am I
says,
supposed to say? Queer?
queer?
like-
And Parvana's like, no.
You
but
say homosexual.
Yeah.
Or an LGBT person.
Mersad's like, you can call me whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah. Mersad's like, Ben's fine.
Ben's
Whatever.
fine, queer's fine, whatever. So Mersad's dad, Amal, owns the shop,
Yes.
and he offers, because Uwe gets that fixed, he offers him like a drink, which he does not take up right then,
Nope.
but will eventually.
Yeah.
It's just like every scene is like, oh, this gets resolved
Yeah.
like 6 scenes later.
There's like
Yes.
there's little tiny. That's what I loved about it. There's so many details that like just feed into everything
Yeah.
else, and like Sonia and her dad
Yeah.
and just his dad and the train and that jerk that he had to deal with
Yeah.
and the Sonia's
Bus
pregnancy.
and the pregnancy.
Bus.
and-
Everything's so linked, and you understand him so well by the end of the book.
A few days later, or maybe it's the same day, I can't remember.
There's days.
There's several
Time.
days. Uwe is yet again planning out his next attempt.
Oh, this one's more
So-
violent though, isn't
yes.
it? Yes.
And he puts tarps up in a room and is going to use a shotgun. And then there's a knock at the door. Mersad's father had kicked him out because he had come out to him, and he needed a place to stay. And Uwe says, "This is not a hotel." Well, it kind of turns into one.
Yeah.
He lets him stay, and at the end of the chapter, he says, and that's how Uwe ended up with a cat and a bent person sleeping in his house. What else?
So he was going to jump in front of a train.
Yes.
Oh, and then he becomes a hero because he saves someone else.
Because someone else has like
seizure.
a seizure and falls in front of the train, and so he jumps down onto the
He's
tracks.
just like, anyone else gonna save this guy? Okay, I guess I'll do it.
And then he just like stands there.
And is like, okay, well, I helped that person up, and now I'm just going to stand here until this train hits me. And then he makes eye contact with the train driver.
And
the
he's like,
conductor.
well, I can't do it if this guy's gonna have trauma the rest of his life because we made eye contact before he hit me and
And
murdered me.
he's only like 20 years old.
Yeah.
That'll change the entire trajectory of
He's
his
like,
life.
okay,
and fine.
I guess I'll get myself out.
And so he gets out. And then there's a young woman who is...
That he traps in the garage.
yes. Who... is she there? Does she see it happen? Or does she...
No,
No,
she's
she
a
gets
reporter.
contacted.
Yeah.
Okay, because in the movie she's there and she's recording it
Oh,
on a cell
really?
phone.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
And I couldn't remember if that's how it happened or not.
That is not.
So this reporter gets contacted and wants to interview Uwe about how he's a hero and he saved this man on the tracks' life, and Uwe wants nothing to do with her. So I don't remember how she ends up in the garage.
Well, she comes in to talk to him.
Oh, yeah, she just kind of like walks in while
Yeah.
he's in the garage. Parvana's outside,
Yes.
and he doesn't want Parvana to know that he saved this guy's life.
he doesn't want anyone to
Yeah,
know.
he doesn't want anyone
He's
to
like,
know.
no,
And
don't tell-
Parvana
And-
would do something about it.
Yeah, and Parvana is nosy. And
in the best way.
in the best way.
Yeah.
And so he sees Parvana coming, and so he just shuts the door, and she's inside the garage, and he's no longer inside the garage, and so she's like knocking on the door,
Yeah,
like
she's not- it
asking
doesn't
to be let out.
Yeah, she doesn't seem to be like stressed. She's just like,
She's
hey,
just like, hey,
I'm still
Hey,
in
I'm
here.
still in here.
Can you let me out?
And Parvana's like,
Her name
"What's-"
was Lena, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Parvana's like, what's going on? And Uwe's like, nothing. Don't worry about it. Yeah, it's very funny. So flashbacks. We start, Uwe's a small child. His dad, he's 16, right? When his dad dies?
I think he is 16 or 18 or
Yeah.
a teenager.
Yeah.
But like later
Um,
teens
His dad dies. His mom died
when he was 8.
when he was 8.
I think so.
Okay. So he didn't like know his mom very well
Really?
because he was young. His dad worked at the train station.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And his dad dies. He gets paid ahead of time. He gets like prepaid for the work that he does. And so Uwe goes to the train station to be like, here's your money back. He's dead. Sorry, I can't keep this. And they're like, actually, you keep that. And he's like, absolutely not. I did not earn this money.
Mhm.
It is not my money. It is not my dad's money
He's a
because my dad is dead
big
and did
rule
not do the
follower.
work
Yeah.
required to earn this money. And so they're like, okay, well, how about you keep it and you work for us?
And then that pretty much gives him a job for a long
A
ass
long time. And there's flashbacks to when he's younger and he finds a wallet and his dad is like, we're not the kind of people who make up stories about other people.
Which
and-
which influences another flashback. But when he's
Yes.
older,
The people that he works with are not very good people and are blaming thefts on him
Mhm.
and things.
Because Uwe ain't a snitch, and he gets accused of stealing something
Yes.
that everybody knows he didn't steal because he will not snitch on somebody else.
Yes. And the guy's like, you know that if you won't tell me who did, then we have no choice but to assume that it was you. But instead of firing him, they just move him to the night shift,
Yeah.
which was so cute. And then the actual theft person steals Uva's watch, which was his dad's, which is a
big no-no.
big no, because Uva's very sentimental about things.
Even though he doesn't think
He's
he is.
like,
He doesn't think so.
He would never say that, but like, God, is he?
Yeah, so he has this watch.
Sonia's literally pasted up all over his house.
Yes. And he ends up decking him.
Oh, that was so satisfying.
So gratifying, yes. Because he stole the watch and he said, people will not be stealing from me.
Mm-hmm.
I will not allow that to happen. So it's when he's working there that he meets Sonia. And
Yes.
Kind of stalks her a little bit.
kind of, yeah. Follows her home one day on the train.
Follows her to work.
Yes, yeah,
he's
to
going.
work.
He just got off, and he rode for 2 hours in the wrong
direction
to talk to her.
just to talk to her.
Because he knew immediately.
He was like, "Wait,
her,
she's
that
Yeah.
one.
She's color."
Yes.
So cute.
And anyway, he lies to her and says that he's going to the military barracks for
Yeah,
something, training or something.
which he was not allowed into because of
A heart condition.
Yeah, his heart is actually messed up.
Yes. I'll reveal what the condition is later. Because it's funny.
It's funny and also
it's-
very sad.
Yes. Anyway, so he's not allowed into the military, but he tells Sonia that that's what he's doing, and then she makes him ask her on a date.
Yeah.
She says, like, hey, it would be nice if you'd take me out on a date. And so he's like, you want to go on a date? All right. And takes her on a date. But he's broke because his dad died, and he's a 16-year-old who is working full-time instead of going to school and whatever, trying to keep his house from being taken by the city.
I think at this point,
No, at
it's
this
already,
point, it's been a
it's
few
been
years.
burned down, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because when he
Yes.
takes her on a date, he's living with
With
that
that old
lady
lady
who
who's
the old
suggests
lady,
the
yes.
flowers.
So
He
his
got-
house burns down.
He got swindled out of insurance.
Yeah,
Because some
That was
scammer-
so sad.
Yeah. So he's I think he's in his early 20s at this point, but he's
yeah, because he completely rebuilt that house.
Yeah.
he
he completely
built it
rebuilt
with
his
his own
parents' house.
hands.
He got a second job in order to, as a carpenter, to
learn
learn how to
how to
rebuild
build a
his house
house.
because the city wants to take the house to tear it down to build new ones.
Yeah, and then he ends up saving someone whose house is on fire, and then his house burns because he can't
Yes.
stop it because he goes and prioritizes someone's life.
And
Yep.
then the firefighters wouldn't let him
Try.
run back to it.
Yeah.
They held him back. And he
Because they needed permits or something. I was like, who needs a permit to put out a fire?
yeah,
I was mad.
I don't know. Anyway, so flash forward, we're with Sonia now, and
So he's broke.
so he's broke. He eats at home. He eats 4 potatoes, and then goes on a date with Sonia,
Mood.
so that she can order whatever she wants at the restaurant.
Yeah.
It's very cute. And then he feels bad and is like, I lied to you. I'm sorry.
She's
And
like, I know.
She's like, yeah, we've been new.
You obviously were not going to the barracks at like 9 a.m. coming
Yeah.
home at 5
Come
p.m.
to
That's
figure out,
ridiculous.
Yeah,
Sonia's
you
like
weren't in a
very
uniform.
intelligent person.
She's yes, she's very smart. She's a very big bookworm. She's a teach. Well, she's not a teacher yet.
She's
but
learning.
She will
yeah,
become
she's
a
training to be
teacher.
a teenager.
You meet her dad. Her
Yeah.
dad is very similar to him.
Yes, her dad has a cat
Named Ernest. It's
named
huge.
Ernest. Yeah.
Massive.
Yes. Her dad dies.
Terrible.
She's distraught by it, but
Mhm.
on the way home, she says like, we have to keep living.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they do. And then she becomes pregnant and then they get married.
Mm-hmm.
And then she said, well, then they move into the house, and she says, like, we
Yes.
need a house. And Uva's like, why do we need a house? And she's like, because our baby should have a good place to grow up. And he's
Yeah.
like, oh, you're pregnant.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sure am.
And
This is where we meet Anita,
Yes.
and
and Rune.
Runa for the first
Yeah.
time, because
Yes.
they're also a couple that's grumpy and / super happy wife that's
night and
pregnant.
day.
Mm-hmm.
So then they're going on a trip. They go to Spain.
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 It's a bus tour throughout Spain, and the bus driver called back to when Parvana needed to go to the hospital and said she would just take the bus. Uva said no. Uva was, or yes,
And
Parvana is
Parvana's
pregnant. Uva says all bus drivers are drunks. You cannot take the bus. We find out that Sonia and Uva, during their bus tour in Spain, were involved in a bus accident. The driver was under the influence, and Sonia lost the baby and was paralyzed
Yep.
from the waist down.
God, they put so many details into that it was just like, it made it so much worse.
Yep.
I was like, you could
And-
have left that one
yeah,
detail
so
out
they're
and I
on-
might have been okay.
They're on the bus, and she puts Uva's hand on her belly to feel the baby kick. And then it says, and that was the first and last time Uva felt his baby kick.
Yep.
I could
And
have
that
just
was
died
just
right then and there.
devastating. Truly heartbreaking.
Because that means she was really far along
Yes.
if there was movement that was like kicking movement.
Yes.
So
Yep.
it's fine.
So, yeah. And then a few times while we're like in Uva's house, it sort of mentions that like all the countertops are lower
Yeah.
and there are like
Tire
tire tracks
that
throughout the house.
Yeah. Like Parvana says they look like like
Like
someone's been riding a bicycle
bicycle.
inside.
Yeah.
So at this point, it becomes clear that, and it talks about when she came home, Uva rebuilt
the
everything
house.
to be wheelchair accessible.
Yes. So all of the countertops are lower. The thresholds have little ramps if they're not a flat transition.
He even built a ramp for her school.
Yes.
Because
Yeah,
wouldn't
because
do
the
it.
city wouldn't do it.
wouldn't build a ramp so she could get inside, so he built one. He refused, though, to move into the bedroom that was on the first floor of the
Yeah.
house.
Because he carried her up the
and he-
stairs
yeah.
Every night.
Every time she needed to go upstairs, he would carry her, and that was his way of showing her that he would never
Give up.
give up.
That's yeah. So giving up is like a really big no for Uva.
Yes.
And he's like, I don't know, he's unbothered by this. He's just like,
Yeah.
oh, this is Sonia.
This
so
is just
this is what
what
we
I do.
And he's an insanely strong man from his
Yeah.
work
Yes.
experience.
Yeah.
Shown in many situations,
Yes.
actually.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know we're like really out of order on everything, but it's because it just everything gets reminded of every other detail.
Well, and the
Yeah.
thing is like, it's not,
It's not linear.
that's what I was thinking.
None of the story
When I was
is.
thinking coming here about like, okay, so, refreshing in my brain, it's like, this is not a linear story.
No.
This is technically chronological. Like you could pinpoint like in the now, quote unquote, this happens and this happens and this happens and this happens, but
Right.
that is not how the story is
Yes,
told.
But like
because-
everything, yeah.
Because all of the flashbacks explain either things that just happened or are about
going
to
to
happen. And
Or
then-
happened at the beginning of the
or-
book,
yeah,
like
exactly.
There's it's he just does such a good job of
And-
weaving it all.
Yeah,
Yes.
something that kept being brought up was Sonia died on a Friday. She was buried on Sunday. He went to work on
On Monday.
Monday.
And
And apparently he did that for many things.
yes, he didn't
me.
let anything get in the way of like routine because you are expected to be at work. That's how you make your money. That's how you live at home. And it's just a cycle. And he says, like, if you break that, then the whole world will implode, basically.
Yeah.
So he is a stickler for the rules.
That's why I found it so interesting that is it Bachman?
Fredrik Backman.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Bachman. Okay. That like he goes so out of order with everything because Uva is such a everything has to be in order in
Yeah.
this way. So I'm just like, you really went and made him a much more complex character by
Yeah.
doing it in
Yeah.
the way you did.
We got to finish the plot before we
Yes.
get into analysis here.
I know,
We're
but
so
it's
close.
So anyway,
lots of things
I think-
happen.
so Sonia still goes to work every day. He carries her up the stairs to their bedroom. They live life. They fall
Love. Sorry.
out. They fall out
Oh,
with Runa.
I got that. Sorry.
Sorry. It was a very bad joke. Live,
Live,
laugh,
laugh,
love.
Yeah.
Live, laugh, love, live. The lemonade. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
So sorry.
I don't know what that is referring to.
A
anyway.
customer named
get-
Liv
would
would
get
get,
the
a lavender
lav-
lemonade.
lemonade.
So it was
Oh.
lav,
Lem, live.
live, lav, lem.
Okay.
Sorry.
Live, love, lem.
So sorry. Irrelevant.
Uva falls out with Runa. Anita starts holding back things from Sonia. Sonia gets diagnosed with cancer. Still is pushing through and going to work every day despite her illness.
Oh my God. At some point, she's like, God took one child from me, but he gave me hundreds more because
Yes.
she is such a good teacher and all of her children are
Yes.
obsessed with her.
And
So much so that when she does leave, they all get a letter from her and they all contact her afterwards.
he says that the 50 kids come and are just in his house at one time.
Yeah, just waiting
just
to
waiting
see her.
to see her. And so he goes around and checks everything to make sure that none of them's stolen. And eventually, as we have said, Sonia does pass away, which is what throws Uva into the spiral. And that's kind of up to present day. So Uva finds out that Runa is much farther along in his illness than he thought because Runa and Anita have been trying to go through this process with the social workers, want to take Runa away from Anita because they think that Anita is unfit to care for him in his state of memory loss and advanced Alzheimer's. Anita is trying to go through all of these hoops with the social workers, trying to get them to allow him to stay in their home, but she, we find out, has Parkinson's. Well, in the movie it says she has Parkinson's. In the book it just says her hands are shaky.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
don't know. Did she have MS? Somebody has MS in that book, and I don't remember who it is. It could have been her,
Maybe.
but just mostly the handshaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, I'll find this.
So the city is trying to take Runa away. Uva is like, oh, they'll never get him. Just go through all the appeals. And then
Yeah.
finds out that they have been going through the appeals and he just never knew about it because when Sonia was diagnosed with cancer, Anita didn't tell her about Runa's illness because they had enough going on.
Yes, which he was insulted by. And
Yes.
was like, Sonia would have also been insulted.
Yes. Uva, when he realizes that Runa's being taken, now, the social workers are coming to get him within a few days. He comes up with a plan and it's so cute. He gathers Jimmy and Pravana and Patrick and Adrian.
I think Adrian and
and
Masad
Masad.
both are involved.
Oh,
and the cat.
Everybody.
And the
Jimmy's
cat.
there. The cat's there.
and the blonde weed's boyfriend.
Yes, the
Yep.
one that was actually the neighbor. 'cause
Anders.
Blonde weed
Anders,
is
yes.
not.
Yep.
Gathers the whole block, basically.
The row.
The row. Patrick is an IT worker, which is important.
Oh, and the journalist.
And yes,
And Lena is
and Lena
there.
the journalist. Invites all of these people, gets Patrick to hack into this man's computer, the man who is in charge of taking Runa.
The one that Uva has a major beef with because
Yes.
he's just awful.
Yeah. Patrick hacks into his computer, gets his internet history and files downloaded, and all of his emails to and from, and personal and business emails, and all of the blackmail. And the journalist is there and is like, I can expose all of this. Uva just stands there, and the guy's like, did you do this? And Uva's like, I didn't do anything. Even though he's the one who orchestrated the whole thing.
Right,
But
yeah.
anyway, then, so the
But he
social
didn't do
worker
anything.
loses his cool and is like, well, Anita can't take care of Runa, so who's going to take care of Runa? And then they have a I'm Spartacus moment
Yeah.
where everyone steps forward and says, I'll take care of Runa.
Yeah.
And I'll take care of Runa and Anita. And we're all a family.
Essentially.
And they blackmail him and he leaves. And Runa gets to stay, presumably. It's not really super revisited.
No, but
He does get to stay because they say
Yeah.
that the little kid grows up and he smiles every time she comes over. So after this big heroic act that
she does have MS, by the way.
Okay.
Nice.
Word.
I mean, not nice.
I mean,
but,
not
like,
nice, but
relatable.
relatable.
Yeah.
The lesions.
So Uva goes home, talks with the cat a little.
As he
which
does.
is also so relatable.
Yes. He hears a strange noise from outside. So he goes outside, and there's people that he thinks are breaking into one of the neighbors' houses because they are away, and he knows that they're not going to be back for a while. But there's like these people going up to the house.
Not girlfriend's family's house.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
That doesn't matter. Sorry.
as he's walking up to them, he sees one of them has a knife, and they're breaking into this house, so he's gonna go up and fight them. And he
As
sees
he
this
does.
man.
He's 59 years old.
Yes,
But he
and
can
he
totally
sees,
But he
fight
can
them.
absolutely take them.
Yeah, he sees this guy with a knife, and he's like, I have to hit that one first. But as he's walking up to these people, he feels a stab in his back, and it is not a knife; it is his heart,
Yeah.
and he collapses.
But he does scare them away.
He does scare. Yes, he does scare the robber burglars.
So they don't actually
away.
do anything bad.
Yes.
But whatever.
And then Parvana finds him.
Mm-hmm.
She
Yes.
loses her,
Her
shit.
mind.
Oh my God. She
Yes.
loves Uva so much.
Loves Uva
So
so
much.
much.
So
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Truly same.
We're back at the hospital.
We're back at the hospital again.
Again.
Uva wakes up from surgery. Parvana is at his bedside waiting for him to wake up.
After
She's his next of
fighting.
kin.
Yes, she's listed as his next of kin.
She
And she
almost
makes a
fights
whole-
the hospital staff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, well, I wasn't going to tell you because you're going to make a whole thing of it.
And
She's
she's
like-
like,
Yeah.
true.
You right.
And she's like, you're not going to die on me, old man, while he's asleep. And there's a whole thing, and it's very sweet.
Just read it.
When he wakes up, the doctor comes in and is like, explains what the condition is with his heart. And it is too big.
And then
heart is too
Parvana
big. His
loses
heart
it
is
again.
too
She
big.
just cackles.
Starts laughing, belly laughing. This man who is so grumpy and just seems like he hates everything all the time has a heart that's too big.
But it is, and that's the
And it
beautiful
is too
part.
big,
Is
and-
the entire book.
And is that he just cares about everything too much.
He really
That
does.
he can't die.
If he stopped caring about people, he would have been able to kill himself a long time
Yeah.
ago.
But he just cares about everyone and everything in his community. And
That's why he apologizes to Sonia so much. He's like,
Yes.
I'm sorry I can't meet with you yet. I've got to go
I'm
do
sorry
this.
I'm late. There's a war on.
Yeah.
I gotta fight the city.
You gotta fight the city council.
She would have been so proud.
Oh,
Yes,
for
so
sure.
proud.
Oh my
And,
God.
Parvana, in her fit of laughter, the doctor's like, well, he could either live for 2 months or several years. And she's like, this old man sucks at dying. Because she's figured out that
But
he's
he's-
tried
Well, she noticed
The
so
tube.
The very first time that he tried to kill himself, he tried to hang himself.
Yes.
Yeah.
So nobody saw that.
Yes.
But everyone did interrupt him.
Yes.
But the second time that he tried to kill himself, he was in his garage. And he had put the tube, like
In
the
the
gas
exhaust
tube, the exhaust tube into his car, and he had shut the door to the garage. And that is when Parvana came over to get him to drive her to the hospital to follow after Jimmy. And she, at that point, you can tell that she has clocked that this is
Yes.
going on.
Yeah.
So she's known for a while
Yes.
that he has been trying to kill himself.
Yes. Which I think is a big reason of why she just like shows up and is like,
Oh yeah.
I'm here
absolutely.
now.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
She's like,
That's
I'm going to prevent
that's why,
this shit. I
and
don't
that's
care.
why she makes him take the cat because
Yeah.
we see the children are not allergic to the cat. She
Yep.
could have taken the cat.
Absolutely.
And-
he even figures that out. She's like,
she made him take it because well
She
now there's
needed
this
a
thing
companion,
and
and-
she's been
Yeah.
slowly trying to squash his attempts.
Yes. And so
she does a great
we're
job.
in the
very
hospital.
good.
Uva almost dies. He has surgery. We go home and there's an epilogue and a party for one of her daughters has a birthday party. He goes out and buys her an iPad.
That's what the beginning of the story
That's the
is.
very first chapter
first
is he's
thing.
buying an iPad.
He was so angry. I almost stopped reading. He was
I
like,
know.
oh my God.
The first chapter I was like, man, this guy sucks. And then the second chapter I was like, I love this man.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, instantly.
But yeah, so he buys her an iPad and then
He becomes grandpa.
and then she calls him
They call
grandpa.
him grandpa.
They draw him a picture while he's in the hospital, and it says Grandpa Uva, or Granddad, I think is what it actually is.
It's fine. I'm fine.
He plays games with her on the iPad.
Because she's into houses.
Yeah, she's like
Yeah.
basically playing Sims, but like just building the houses, not even like playing the characters in Sims. She's just
She's just
Yeah,
like building
she-
houses.
Sim City is
Yeah.
what it reminded me
Yeah,
of.
yeah, that's true.
Not the same.
and so he built houses, so he's interested in the fact that she's interested in houses. So he plays this game with her for hours and hours and hours until Parvana finally kicks him out and is like, "Hey, we gotta go to bed. Let's wrap it up."
She's only 7. Come on.
She's 7
Yeah,
years old.
she's
dude.
8
now she's 8.
Now
now. She's 8.
And he can't handle that. He
Yeah.
also at some point is like,
It's so rude that
it's
kids.
rude that this kid is
Kid is-
10 years
yeah.
old now. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and so then it starts kind of speed running the rest of Uva's life. And Parvana has a baby. It's a little boy. Runa stays with Anita in their home.
And then Jimmy marries.
Jimmy marries Mersad.
Mersad, yeah.
And they adopt a little
And
baby
they
girl.
adopt a little girl. And Jimmy is kind of like Anita's adopted son, goes over there all the time. And so whenever Jimmy and Mersad take their daughter over, Runa smiles, even though he does not remember who anyone is or whatever.
Except he seemed, earlier he did seem to remember
Yes.
Uva, which I
A
was
few
like,
times, yeah.
that's great. I love that for you guys.
Yes, and but it does say like Runa never got better, but he, without exception, smiled whenever that little girl came over.
Yeah.
It's fine.
And
Oh, everybody joined Uva to go visit Sonia.
yes, everyone hopped in a car and went and visited Sonia. Everyone introduced themselves.
Yeah. And he's like, there's a bunch of people here now. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then Parvana has girl talk.
Makes Uva leave.
Leave
that
so she can have girl talk,
girl
with,
talk with
Sonia.
Sonia.
It's fine.
And one day it's 8 a.m. and there's snow on the ground, and Parvana realizes that Uva has not scooped his walk yet. And she rushes over and finds him peacefully asleep.
All of our eyes are watering right now.
It's
Yep.
fine.
This is a lot.
It's so much. And there's a letter on his table
I
had-
forgot about the letter.
that he had written years before,
Mm-hmm.
addressed to her, leaving everything he has to her and her kids, and Jimmy, and like the whole neighborhood. Everyone gets something.
Yep.
Adrian gets the Saab.
That stupid car.
that stupid car that he cares so much about.
Obsessed with the. I had to look up what a Saab was because I was like,
Oh, my dad had a Saab when I was a kid.
I
so
looked up
was very
almost every
familiar.
version just to see what the difference was. Not a whole lot.
And Sonia's dad, when he died, had a ton of money invested.
Yes, I forgot about
and
that too.
Sonia and Uva never knew what to do with it.
Now they have grandkids.
And now they have grandkids. So he says there's 11 million kroner, much less than $1, like a dime.
Oh,
Anyway,
damn.
a lot of Swedish currency. He says in his letter, each of her kids should get $1 million, and she can do whatever she wants with the rest of it. And she creates a foundation in Sonia's honor for children who are troubled or have bad home lives, disabilities or learning disabilities, and sets up a fund for them to get access to the things that they need.
So 11 million is equivalent to like 1 million plus a couple.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So-
Yeah.
So it's
It's like $1 million.
yeah, it's still a chunk.
That's a
split
lot of money.
between 3 kids.
They can all wait. Does
And-
Sweden do free college?
I have no idea.
They could go to college in the U.S.
Yeah. Yeah. Several times probably.
Get that master's
Uh,
in architecture.
Ugh.
I'm so sorry. Continue.
that's where we end.
Yeah.
God.
Which, like, beginning of the book, I was like, so he is going to die, but, like, the whole
Yeah.
community is going to
Yeah.
come up around him. Does not matter that I knew that.
yeah,
No.
I was by myself in my home listening to the end of the audiobook, like playing my video game, weeping. Just like murdering things on my video game and just like shoot, Pervana.
I didn't cry. I was like mentally prepared to, but there was so much positivity wrapped in all of
That's
the
the thing.
sadness.
It wasn't even like sad crying. It was
was just
just like this is so emotional.
I caught myself
Yes.
smiling so hard to so many
Yes.
things.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite scenes were when Pervana was driving and he was like, "You've been through harder things. You should be
Yes.
fine." And then
Yeah.
he goes and tackles that man in
Yes.
the car. I was
Uh,
like, "Damn."
You've had 2 children, soon to be 3. You immigrated to a country and learned a new language. You've done harder things than driving a car.
Yeah.
You can learn how to drive a car because you are not a complete idiot.
That's
Yeah.
such a great compliment from him too.
Yes.
And then when we found out about Jimmy, where his origin story is,
Mhm.
and how they saved
Saved
essentially
him. Yeah.
from this
from his
shitty
abusive guy.
boyfriend of his mom, I was like, did they say Jimmy?
Yeah.
Like, what, they
Yeah.
said Jimmy?
Yeah.
I was just like, so this like pudgy kid guy that he just like always judges
Just tolerates.
is actually like they took care of him. They helped
Yeah.
him. Like that's the only reason he's even there. And I'm just like, that was
sobbing.
beautiful. And
It's
then
just so beautiful.
and Mersad and his dad,
Yeah.
that was-
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because
all because of the whiskey.
because Uva, didn't take him up on the whiskey offer, but then after Mersad comes out and gets disinherited, basically, Uva goes back and is like, "All right, can we have that whiskey?" Just to, like get to know him and get to convince him, like, your kid's dude, it's fine. Who
Dude,
cares if
yeah.
he's been
Uva was not ignorant. He was just stubborn.
old and
Yeah.
crotchety?
Yeah, but he was like well aware of stuff. He wasn't
Yeah.
malicious towards people. He didn't care. He judged you for doing things wrong. But
Yeah.
he didn't care.
But
how
he did
you
not
were.
care if you were, it did not, I don't know. He was unaffected by the fact that Pervana was, non-white
Yeah.
or an immigrant.
He was
He
just
does
like-
not care. He's like, how dare you not know how to drive? I'm going to teach you to do that.
You
Yeah.
want to drive an automatic.
And he doesn't care that Mersad is gay. He's
Nope.
just like, yeah, you can stay in my house, I guess.
Yeah,
Like,
you don't have anywhere else to go, I guess.
yeah, I guess this is where you can go. I have some of my favorite quotes here.
Hell yeah.
Very
Yeah.
quickly. This was, the very first one that I wrote down was grumpy old bastard, because I was like, that's true.
Yes.
But then This is the first one that I had to like pause, and I was like cackling so hard. So this is about Parvana. About Patrick. So he says, if it hadn't been for her belly, which testified to a willingness on her part to contribute to the survival of the lanky one's genetic makeup, Uva would have found her almost sympathetic, which is so funny. And then the last one, I have another one about Patrick. God, he just really cannot stand Patrick.
It was great.
so funny.
Patrick's so nice to him.
I know.
He's like, hey, Uva.
This was like before he was very close to the daughters. He says, like, I don't know, he says something to the 7-year-old, and she's like, I don't know, my dad says to, but I don't want to do that. And he says, Uva liked people who didn't do what Patrick told them to.
Yes.
The 7-year-old was fantastic.
Yeah.
That's
So
so funny.
snarky. I was like, you and Uva are going to be besties.
Yeah.
And just called that.
Every other note is just like a word followed by sobbing emotions.
Yes.
Like the crib,
Oh,
sobbing.
Oh,
yes.
the crib.
Yes.
and the explanation of the cars, like, yeah. So the crib is Uva and Runa both built cribs when Anita and Sonia were pregnant,
Which in itself was already so
which
sweet.
is also so sweet.
because
but
they
then-
needed something to do.
Yeah, because they needed something to do. And then, obviously, Uva didn't have anything to do with that crib. So he freaking gets it back out and gives it to Parvana for the baby. And he's
just
like,
like-
well, if it's a boy, we can paint it blue. And if it's a girl, we can paint it pink. I don't know. Here you go. And just sobbing.
Yeah. Parvana just like sees it and stares at it when it's in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And he had just put like a new coat of lacquer on it or something. And
Yeah.
she like looks at it and then looks at Uva and he's like,
Meh.
we'll paint it a different color for
Yeah,
you.
dude, you don't need it. It's fine.
Yeah.
Because his heart's too big.
Yes.
Every single description of this book has him labeled as a curmudgeon.
And he is.
And I was like, oh, very accurate. Correct.
he
Yes.
is like the definition of curmudgeon.
See his face next to the word in the
Yeah.
dictionary. Yeah.
Yep. But like that's the awesome part about this is like he's like a textbook definition curmudgeon and also somehow has the biggest freaking heart.
Yep.
Like Fredrik, how? Are we on first name basis? I don't know.
Snaps.
Mr. Backman.
Mr. Bachman, how? Every character, it's not even that long of a book.
It's not.
No.
Every character is so fleshed out.
Yeah.
Every character has a backstory. You learn every character's backstory.
They're so
They're all
complex.
interconnected in more ways than one.
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful.
It's so good.
Literally that first chapter, and I was like, this is not the vibe I thought we were
Yeah.
doing,
Yes.
but I do love it.
Mm-hmm. Now
And
that
then-
I finished it, I was like, okay, got it.
Yeah.
Everything makes sense.
He's just so
allowed to be a really
funny
angry man.
About being so grumpy. And like, obviously, if I met him in real life as a customer service person that he was being an asshole to, I
Oh
would
my
hate
God.
this man.
Yes.
But,
That poor Apple person.
oh God, the poor guy who was just trying to be like, it's a tablet.
You asked for an iPad. This is an iPad. Here it is. This is.
I don't know how to help
I
you.
want a computer.
It doesn't even come with a keyboard.
Is it good? What is it good? I don't know.
I don't know what you want from me.
I do love that Jimmy was the one that helped out with that. Like Jimmy's like,
Yeah.
okay, I know how to order this for
Yeah,
you.
no, I got it.
Oh, the clown. He
Beppo.
like, yeah. He
Oh,
punches the clown.
he punches a clown
punches a
at the
clown.
hospital.
He's like, he wasn't funny. And then the 7-year-old's like, actually, he wasn't that funny.
Yeah, she gets it. The 3-year-old is like such an enabler of all of Uva's ways. She's just like, Uva is the best thing that has ever happened in the world.
Oh, because
Which
she
is so
draws him
funny.
in color. That was
Yeah,
a
that was-
great detail.
Yes, because Sonia was Uva's color.
Yeah.
And this old grumpy man is this little girl's color. She only draws him in color, and she always draws him in color. And Uva finds that horrifying.
Yes.
What do you mean she always draws me in color?
And then
Yeah.
Pravada just like walks away.
And yep,
She's
just
like,
oh,
whatever.
dude, You're her grandpa.
Yes.
Sorry about it.
Yeah.
She's going to draw you.
God.
So many feels.
It was just so emotional.
Yes,
I
that's
cried
for sure.
a lot.
I felt a lot.
Yes.
I didn't like that, but I also was like, this is great.
I knew I was going to, but I didn't know it was going to be that much.
I had no clue. I was not mentally prepared for this, so I had to power through that.
If you're not in the best headspace, it's definitely a power through it or take many breaks.
This is definitely one that I can see myself like highly recommending for like ever.
Yeah.
People of the Book is my go-to, and Book Thief. I will always think to recommend those books because they have such great storytelling as well as just like content. This one is probably going to be added to that list, as well as Bridge of Clay by the same author who did Book Thief, Marcus
Zusak.
Fantastic. This book actually reminded me of it a lot because it does that same non-linear storytelling, but you learn about all these like complexities that built all of these characters, and there's also like a ton of characters in both of them. But yeah, after this one, if you have the emotional capacity, that one will also kill you.
Great.
You know what I'm here for. Sad books all around.
I feel like whenever I'm the host, I take forever to tell the plot, and we also discuss everything while I'm telling the plot instead of telling the plot and then discussing.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
That's all
everyone.
right.
Welcome to ADHD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're here for it. It's all good. Jamie, you're the one to introduce next month's book.
Yes. Our book for May is going to be Cobalt Blue by Sachin Kundalkar. Join us on May 28th.
What country is that for?
That is going to be for India, and we are also going to have our good friend Pariti, who is going to join us, which is going to be so fun. She lives in India, so that is going to be fun to get scheduled.
Yeah.
But we're going to figure it out.
Yep.
This is going to be very fun.
Yeah.
So
I work with a lot of people in India for my job, and
nice.
It is an 11.5-hour difference.
yeah, the
and
time
it
difference is so funky.
So frustrating.
Yep.
I believe that.
Yep, it is a half time difference.
Yeah.
Half hour.
That's rude.
It's funky.
So that'll be great. That'll be so fun.
Pretty, can we have you move 30 minutes in one direction or the other? Thank you.
And also get on Zoom at 9 p.m.
Yeah. It's going to be fine. We have video chatted with her multiple times, and it's fine. It's always
After scheduling it like 6 different times.
Yeah. But this is fine. This is going to be very fun.
Yeah.
Woo.
Woo.
Woo. Okay. Cool.
Okay, see you next time.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye. See you next time. See you next time.
The suppression, the use of marijuana.
This podcast was brought to you in part by KCUN
Yeah, we could say that.
Please tell me you recorded that.
89.3 FM KCUN.
Perfect.